Hi. This evening we heard President Biden make a speech to the nation. It had to do with some decisions that had been rendered by the Supreme Court. And there were some heartbreaks. Money that he had hoped would be used to relieve some of the pain from the educational debts that people have, monies that I'm sure other sources would be benefited from. But the Supreme Court says no. And he was kind of upset because he mentioned how the battle came when the Republicans sued him. Didn't want this stuff to happen to you people. Republicans, ladies and gentlemen, voted against the American children, the American students, the American education. They went against it. And he was upset about it. Well, naturally so. The rest of the people who would benefit from it were upset as well. But who didn't care? The Republicans didn't care. And the thing about it, the president was saying how much money that many of these legislators received during the COVID period. The time they had a program called PPP or something like that. He was talking about the amount of money that the billionaires received, and it was mighty. And I understand that their debt would be forgiven. They won't have to even worry about paying it back. And when it comes down to we the people, Biden says he had set it up so the people would at least be required in time to pay a minimum amount until perhaps it's liquidated or until some other decisions are made in reference to. But it would not be eliminated, which again, ladies and gentlemen, it ties right into the message that I try to bring to you all the time. Now, if the Republicans didn't care anything about the people who needed the money, people who needed this benefit, if the Republicans didn't care anything about them and cared everything about the people who don't need the money at all, then it would seem to me, why does the Democrats have a problem by just making sure that all of the debt is just like they're doing for the millionaires, corporations, just like they want to forgive that debt, then wipe out the debt for those who benefit from it. Why not go there? See, this is what I'm saying when you say when the president is kind and as wonderful, Biden, as he is, and trying to be humble and make sense based upon the system in which we live. But he said, I think he had said something about 5% of their expendable income as far as being used to pay back. 5%. But see, he's still doing the same thing. 5%. It's 5% hurts some people. Some people won't have any of that. But you're still dragging along that same old program. Republicans don't care about any of this stuff. They got a place they want to go, and they're just jamming themselves to go. They want to rip this nation apart to get where they want to go. And it seems to me that righteousness ought to want to rip this sucker apart and get to where it want to go, righteously. What does that mean? That means getting the people satisfied. Getting the people satisfied. Think about this, President Biden. Now, you might not agree with this, but those Republicans are forgiving all that money to the rich people. What if your plan had been to forgive all of the debt for everybody that needed it? I mean, really needed it. Just forgive it. Just wipe it clean, just like they're doing it up front. You doing the same thing. You might have been able to, well, you would have been able to take away what these Republicans are trying to stand for. We all know that the reason that it costs so much money to run for public office is because the millionaires run it. They That whole scheme of things. I'm not just trying to say, I'm talking about that whole process. That keeps the real voices silent. They can never say anything. If they say it, it's just like talking in a paper bag. Nobody's ever going to hear it. It could be the message of freedom. It could be that Jesus Christ is coming down to this evening at 5 o'clock. If the system can't make any money out of it, it'll be a secret. So what am I saying, ladies and gentlemen? This is you. This is you. Every last one of you know that you want the best out of life. You know you want the best out of life. Every last person that's alive today, even those that's sick, everybody wants the best out of life. Do you ever think about, is it possible for everybody to have the best out of life? Or do you just think it's going to be complicated, it's not going to happen, but you hope it does happen, at least for you? That's the way most people think. They don't think about it could happen for all of us. They never hear it. Well, you know the system not going to tell you that. The system is built against all of that. You don't know that. The system's not going to tell you that if they know it. I don't even know if they know it. But if they did, they wouldn't tell you. But there are some that set aside that's supposed to tell you. They call themselves preachers and churches and religion and all those kind of titles. They're supposed to tell you. They can't tell you because they don't know. And so since they don't know, they just run a game too. Everybody got a little game going. Everybody got a little game going. Now you say, why do I say everybody got a little game going? I ask you this. You see any change? Do you see any change? No, you don't see any change. So everybody got a little game going. If there was anything real about it, I mean anything real about it. You know, let me put it like this and let me get out the air because I know you're tired of me. There are some preachers that get the scripture and they'll go down that scripture and they'll read that scripture out and they'll give you their best interpretation of that scripture. And sometimes it'll be very good interpretation. Is it right or wrong? I don't know. But it sounds really good. But what? What does that mean? That means, oh, people are going to go outside and act according to this. We are living in a world, ladies and gentlemen, that does not walk according to these. We're living in a world where we have no forces to even make any kind of commitment that these things are going to be carried forward like this. No. And who wants it to be carried forward like this? Carrying stuff forward the way the scripture has also said that it's some of the worst things that could have ever happened. I personally think that people should pick up a few scriptures. Like, the most powerful is invisible. And that everything that we need to do the things we do, that all of the resources we need to do the things we do are here. And we are here. And we know we need certain things and want certain things and desire certain things. And we know that if all of us play a part in producing these things, then all of us can have access to them when we want to. And we can do this without being angry with anybody. We don't have to argue with anybody. We don't have to be beholden to anyone outside of our commitment to participate in the process that will give us our heaven on earth. And so we do that. We do it. So we don't have scum people talking about what you can learn, what you can hear, how you must think, who you can talk to, where you can live, when you can smile, don't spit. These things have already happened, ladies and gentlemen. It might sound silly and stupid and foolish as you hear mentioned here, but these things have already occurred. And most of us don't even know anything about it. And when you don't know anything about it, these things will reoccur. That is why you try to burn books. That is why you try to ban books. That is why you try to make sure that people don't say or teach stuff that you don't want heard, because you plan to repeat it again. Why? Because you have no other place to go. It's just a vicious cycle, a vicious cycle, a vicious cycle. Trying to keep those who think they're usurping power from that invisibility and got a bunch of knucklehead human beings, too ignorant, too heartless to know and to put ourselves in a position to receive the truth. Position, pure in heart. Treat people like you want to be treated. You watch your heart change. Next time. Bye-bye.